Good evening and welcome to our meeting. Our Rancho Board of Education board meeting for Monday, May 10th, 2021 is now in session. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Board Member Wynn Coleman will be presenting, and please mute your microphones.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kim, can you start us off with a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan.
Present.
Secretary Scott.
Present.
Board Member Cullen.
Present.
Board Member Coleman.
Present.
And President Galbraith.
Present.
You're all here.
Thank you. So we have a quorum. Just in case, for those who couldn't hear Secretary Scott, she is right next to us. She's just working on getting her computer up and running. So, okay. So I just want to welcome everyone out to our meeting tonight, especially those who are visiting for our commendations. We appreciate you all being here and coming on to our meeting tonight. Also, those who are tuning in through our YouTube channel, we're grateful to have you on with us tonight. We'll go ahead and start tonight with some introductory comments by Dr. Visu Cleveland, our superintendent.
Good evening. I have a few short remarks this evening to just kind of go over the highlights of the board meeting this evening. As you know, we have spent the last hour looking at the budget, and there, of course, have been other budget meetings prior to that. Budget is never an easy task, and this year is no different than any other. The bottom line always is that the needs far exceed our resources, and so that's always a very challenging undertaking. That being said, a tremendous amount of work has been done on this budget, and I would believe that it is a good budget. And it's there are some areas that are a little more problematic than normal, certainly resulting from COVID-19. There are increased costs this year in the budget, and all of those costs are pretty much related to increased needs. But the positive is these additions will provide or enhance services for our students. So, for example, some of them are in the operational, some are not. We'll be adding nurses, but that'll be coming out of Medicaid. We'll be adding counselors. That will be coming out of the operational budget. There are some teacher additions and some enhanced services for our students. So we believe that we're delivering better services next year, and our students will be the beneficiaries of this budget. The other thing in the budget that we don't control is always hard for us. Our fixed costs are going up, and so we have increased fixed costs. Last year and year before, we were told that we needed to increase our contributions to medical and to the Education Retirement Board. Last year, when they delayed all of those, they made it very clear that this year would be double. And so that's exactly what has occurred, as those costs have gone up because we didn't do a little bit last year. Now we have a whole lot more this year. And that's both individual employees and also the district as well. We're still facing a deficit for transportation, approximately $1 million. I did have a conversation with Deputy Secretary Delgado. He has told me that there are plans, very concrete plans, to look at transportation services in hopes that they will be able to put this issue to rest. As you know, Judge Singleton in her ruling was very clear that transportation was to be paid, and it has not been resolved. We're still short this year. We will continue to be short next year until there's a changed system, a revamped allocation system. We all know that our federal dollars, our CARES dollars, and the new federal dollars that are coming in, ERISA dollars, will have been a tremendous help, but they do have a limited term, very much like we saw in the Great Recession, and so they will go away. And the question is, what do we do once they do go away? The state, in responding to those questions, has said they believe the state's economy is picking up. There will be more resources as the state economy recovers and joblessness goes down and so forth. But, you know, that's always, that's never a given. It's never an absolute. And so while we are very optimistic that the state will improve in terms of its overall financial health, you know, we don't know how much, and we don't know exactly how that would be allocated anyway. As I said, these dollars are being used to fill budgetary holes. That was the plan of the New Mexico legislature. During this session, I heard many of our legislators in Santa Fe say that whatever shortfalls the districts had, they should use those for filling in the holes, so to speak. I don't think that was really the federal intent initially. I think the federal intent was for us to use that for COVID-related expenses and to be able to provide additional services and support, not to fill in the holes. But that's kind of where we are right now. And as Mike Baker said in the finance meeting, that's a little bit frightening and it's a little bit problematic, but we think that we've made it a point where we have minimized that risk, at least to some degree. So in the budget, there's a 1.5% raise for employees. Negotiations are still ongoing, so I really can't say a whole lot more than that. But the 1.5% raise is mandated by the state. And the purpose of that was to offset the cost to the individual employees for the increase in their retirement and the increase in their medical insurance. And so and the state has given us some general information about they believe that it did that for almost all employees, maybe not everyone, but the vast majority. And they think that 1.5% should ensure that no one sees their paycheck go down next year. We are continuing our commitment to the teacher intern program we had with the union. That has really paid off for us this year. Most of those interns actually were hired before the end of the year to fill vacancies that we needed. And so they also helped at different levels. In the beginning of the year, when we brought all the elementary children back, K-3, that wanted to return, many of them went down and helped with that initiative. So they have just been useful. They've been permanent subs. They've taken over emergency situations. And, you know, I suspect we'll have the same situation next year, that most of them will be hired before the end of the year. Our, as I said, medical premiums increased, and certainly no one welcomes that, but that's a trend almost everywhere. Almost in every state, people are paying more for their medical benefits. I don't know where that's going to end. It's getting just increasingly costly for families, and as it is for the district as well. We did have some costs for some new programs. If you look at the general the increased costs and new costs, they really come down to the Secondary Learning Center, which was a major one, and then expansion of virtual services, both at the elementary and secondary levels. Okay, this evening, I don't know that, you know, it's up to the board how much of this you want to go over, because we've gone over it in pretty great detail. But the board will have another opportunity to ask questions and you know, speak to the issue of the budget. I want to stress this is a preliminary budget. This is not the final budget. The board will have another opportunity to review and make changes before the approval of the final budget. So this is to get it to Santa Fe. Santa Fe will then be going through the public ed department, will be going through that budget to make sure that we have met all the requirements, for example, in terms of at risk. They'll go through to make sure that we have met all of the requirements for at risk. And so they will send us back feedback if they believe our budget does not comply with state regulations and state budget priorities. And then it could, you know, the board has another chance before the final budget is sent to Santa Fe. I know one of the important things is who had input into the budget. Certainly, the Finance Committee of the board has had input into that process and has given direction in that process. Cabinet has spent a lot of time on budget this year. Many meetings have been spent on that topic. It was also taken to the Superintendent's Advisory Council, which are primarily teachers, but also some staff members in other areas, and was presented to them. We did get feedback from surveys that were incorporated into the budget, such as in the area of virtual education, such as in the area of some of the options they would like to see this next year. For example, bringing back band and orchestra at the elementary level for 5th graders. And so many of those ideas came back from the parents who answered our surveys. We also had a very good return on our surveys. And we thank our parents for all of them that took the time to send us their thoughts. And we did hear them, and some of them are definitely reflected in the budget. Also went to the district leadership team, which is the administrative team, and they also had an opportunity to comment and to ask questions and to provide some input. And then this evening, a notice of this board meeting and the plan to approve a preliminary budget was sent to over 19,000 email addresses, informing them of what was on the agenda this evening and what was occurring in terms of the budget. Okay, just a couple of comments about extended year and summer learning. Our summer enrollment is up from previous years, and we're glad to see our students there. Credit recovery will be cost-free at the secondary level this year, and I think that may have contributed to some of the students enrolling where they might not have in the past. Seniors who are not graduating are continuing on with their coursework now, rather than waiting for summer school. And we will continue to offer our summer graduation ceremony this year. And we will have, as you know, an extended calendar year this year. And there's some really wonderful, exciting things that are going to be occurring for our students during the last 2 weeks. And a report will be presented to the board at the June 14th meeting on what some of those activities look like for our students in the last couple of weeks of school. Just a reminder, we have our graduations coming up, and we are still working on the numbers, but we have seen a significant number of increases in the number of students who are going to be able to walk across the stage, who have finished their coursework, who have passed their exams, and have met their requirements. And so we're really excited. We've seen the 2 comprehensives. We're still waiting to get the numbers from the 2 other schools, but we will send that information to you as soon as we have. I think you're going to be very pleased for the students that are able to finish and are graduating. It's just far better than what was reported several weeks ago. And that's just a credit to the principals and the teachers for how hard they worked, and also the counselors. And counselors just stay on it with these students to try to help them and support them and give them every resource they can to make sure they make it through. So those groups of folks are really to be commended for the tremendous increase in the number of students who are going to be walking on these 4 dates. And the board, of course, is invited to all of those, and we'll be giving out diplomas. We are asking the board to try to be there at least 30 to 15 minutes early, because they're all in different venues, and we will have to kind of look at where everybody is prior to the ceremony. And then, of course, the last day of June, the last day of school, oh, that's scary, buddy. The last day of school is June the 3rd, and we will conclude the year on June the 3rd. And we do have a clock that we send out to the staff. That's the countdown clock. So we're watching that last month come pretty quickly. We have some commendations this evening. Schuman Foundation will be here to present a check to continue their support of Naviance. Naviance is an invaluable program. It helps our students, first and foremost, explore careers that they might have an interest in or want to know more about. And then it also, if they just don't know what they want to do, they're struggling to find their way, it also helps them identify career clusters that might be of interest to them based on their own identified preferences. So I like to work with my hands. I really like machines. I really like whatever. And it then says, well, here are some things you might want to consider. Here are some possible career pathways for you. And so it's a wonderful tool. And we really do appreciate the Schuman Foundation. Tana Burgos, the Director of Student Services, will be addressing that issue this evening. Kurt Schmidt, who is the Executive Director of Fine Arts, will also have some great news to share concerning a very special scholarship award to Zara Marchuan, one of our Rio Rancho Public School students. And then Catherine Cullen will present a commendation for the Safety and Security Department this evening as well. And then we have one last, Mike Baker and Sam Aniachi, the Director of Safety and Security, will present a years of service recognition to Mike Padilla, who has been our Director of Safety and Security, worked in this district for many, many, many years. And so they wanted to say a few words and to talk about the great job that he has done for our district. And we will certainly miss him a lot. You have one RFP to look at this evening, and this, of course, will allow for the approval of a replacement for the HVAC at Puesta del Sol Elementary, and the purchasing director, Michael Madrid, will present that as this evening. And closely related to that, there will be a request from the principal at Puesta del Sol that we limit student transfers there for the same reason that we did at Martin Luther King Elementary. It is recommended that no new transfers be allowed for the 2021-2022 school year. Any out of boundary students who are there now would be able to continue to stay enrolled, but just not to accept any new students. And the only students that would not be allowed to return if they were out of boundaries, if they did not meet the requirements for the transfer. And are there any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland, for that. Does anyone have any questions off of the public comments? Board Member Coleman, I see everyone kind of shaking their head. Cullen, okay. Okay, I'm making sure. Okay, I think we're good on everything. Thank you so much, Dr. Cleveland, for that kind of overview of the meeting. I always appreciate hearing those comments and for you to go over those things. So thank you. We look forward to going through each of these different things. Okay, so now we will move, let's see, let's go to approve our prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations. Any questions or on our prioritized agenda as it has been presented?
I move approval of the prioritized agenda. This is Board Member Scott.
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Secretary Scott and a second by Board Member Cullen. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us on this?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, for our next item, item F will be for public comment. We received, let me grab my public comment out. We received 3 public comments from individuals. These comments will not be addressed tonight, but I will read through them. Our first one is from Tana Rupp. She has concerns over the password policies at Enchanted Hills Elementary and would like for parents to have access to those passwords when the children are given them. Our next one is from Jody Fuel, and she is asking us to keep the Sandia Vista Elementary Montessori program. And our third one is from Lily Bolat. She is against the additional 10 days that have been added to the calendar for next year and thinks that it would help us with our budget if we did not have those 10 days. So those are our 3 public comments. For anyone who would like to address the board through public comment, you may do so. If you go to our RRPS board page, you'll see a form there that you can fill out and give your public comment. All those comments go to the board, and we read through each and every one of those, and we will read through those in our meetings, as you just saw. So we would love to hear from the community, anyone who would like to give public comment. Next is our commendations. And so Dr. Cleveland went over our commendations a little bit. Our first one is our Schuman Foundation for the Navient funding presentation. So Tana Burgos, our Executive Director of Student Services, is here. We also have Tim Sheehan from the Schuman Foundation, Greg Hull, our Mayor of Rio Rancho, and also David Heil, who is the Chair of the Sandoval County Commission. And I believe our mayor and David Heil are on together, if I saw that correctly. So we'll start off and let Tana go ahead and start off. Thanks, Tana.
Okay, you did my introduction for me. No,
sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm like, oh, you already did it. President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, I do appreciate you introducing everyone. So the Navient board, the Schuman Foundation is here this evening to present, and you can see that picture up there of Tim Sheehan, an allocated amount for continued support of our Naviance program, as Dr. Cleveland so elegantly put, that it really supports our students with college and career readiness, as well as it also encompasses our New Mexico PED, our Public Education Department Next Step plans that are required for our 8th through 12th grade is also encompassed in Naviance. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tim Sheehan.
Thank you very much, Tana. Appreciate that. I would like to present you with, as you can see, $10,000 again this year. It's our 4th year that we have come forward. The Schuman Foundation, as many of you know, has been around since 2012 was when we started. And Dave Heil is going to give some updates of what we did in the past year. But it is our goal with our local board here to really make an impact of people's lives in Sandoval County. And so we are here to present you $10,000 again, which is only a piece we understand of the Naviance program, but it's our contribution for the coming school year. So we want to say thank you very much for your continued efforts, school board members. And we know it's been a tough year. And this is just our small token to say thank you on behalf of the Schuman Foundation. And at this point, I would like to turn over to Dave Heil and then Greg Hull, just for a couple comments.
Well, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Rio Rancho Public School School Board, for giving us an opportunity to present this check. I have the real check in my pocket, and we'll be putting it in the mail tomorrow. I just want to give a little report. In 2020, the Schuman Foundation contributed just shortly under $200,000 to 65 scholarships, 25 of which were from Rio Rancho Public Schools. In addition to the Naviance program, we also supported the Field of Grads and also the Rotary Nursing Scholarship. So far in 2021, our scholarship contributions have been just slightly under $98,000. 17 of those are from graduates of Rio Rancho Public Schools. In addition to Naviance, we again have supported the Rotary Nursing Scholarship Program. So with that, I want to turn the floor over to Mayor Hull.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Tim, and thank you to everybody at Rio Rancho Public Schools who all have done an amazing job through a very difficult time. And it's always exciting to be part of the Schuman Foundation, where we can help individuals look at that, help fund that next step of education. Something that's gotten rolling this year that the Schuman Foundation is involved in and really helped to catalyze is a tremendous community partnership between Sandoval County, the Schuman Foundation, Workforce Connection, C&M Ingenuity, Workforce Connection, and the city of Rio Rancho on Upskill Sandoval. And this is another way that we're encouraging people to reach out. After the pandemic, they may have decided to take their career in another path. So we'd encourage everybody to go out to upskillsandoval.com and look at what this program is all about. And we want to try to get people back into the workforce, get people back up and running. And so as we emerge from the pandemic, we're excited about the opportunities, and people that have been quarantined for quite some time might find this exciting, that they could pursue a different path at this point in time. And it's, oh yeah, and Dave was reminding me the important word, it's free money. So he's like, tell them it's free. And I said, yes, it's, so we're always excited to give away the free money, but we're more excited about the opportunity this presents for individuals looking to upskill and maybe shift career paths. So very exciting times. And once again, just on a personal note, before I let you go, is that because of the pandemic, many of us haven't had the opportunity to see each other for over a year now. I know there's a lot of you that I haven't seen in over a year, and just seeing some of your faces right here on the screen for the first time in months reminds me of the tremendous bonds that we have amongst the community members here, and reminds me of the steadfast commitment of all the people that work at Rio Rancho Public Schools, and the great job that you do, and the board, and how you serve our community, and how you've tirelessly worked through this pandemic to help our children be successful. So to that, I owe you a great thanks of a lot of gratitude for all of your work. So we appreciate you and all that you do, and thanks for being those essential workers and holding that front line where our children are concerned.
Okay, thank you so much. I personally think we have the best district in the state. That's where I'm at, but maybe I'm a little partial.
Oh, I know it. I know it. It's a fact. Yes. President Galbraith, you hit it on the head. Yes.
Yes, we have such a great team here, and so thank you so much for being here. Before I go to the board, so don't disappear yet. Before I go to the board, I'd like to just give Dr. Cleveland a moment, and then I'll go to the board, and I'm sure everyone just would like to say a quick something at least to you.
We appreciate this effort. Naviance provides just really valuable services for young people who are looking to find their way and where they want to go with their lives. And so it's hard. You know, today the challenge isn't too few choices. The challenge is there are so many choices. And so kind of working through all of those career options, it's somewhat overwhelming for students at times. And so this gives some structure to the search and to identifying those areas and then moving on. It also helps our counselors develop a plan, a first step plan for students, so that they get in the right classes and the right courses and can move forward. So we thank you, the Schuman Foundation. We thank you very much for your support of this very valuable service for our students, our counselors, and our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. So we'll go ahead. Vice President Morgan, are you able to, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for all the support. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Secretary Scott?
Yes. First of all, I want to give Tim an opportunity to tell us about the Schuman Foundation a little bit. We heard all the money you're raising. Tell us about it, about your organization.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. The Schuman Foundation was created by Doug Schuman many years ago, as I said, in 2012, to actually, he never had any children. His wife passed away about 10 years before he did. And he wanted to create a foundation to continue to support all people, not just young people in Sandoval County, to continue their education. So we have had not just lots of graduates from the local high schools, but we've had people restarting their careers, coming back after childbearing and everything else, wanting a new career, all kinds of different type, from nurses to you name it, medical field. We've had people go to CNM. We've had them all over the country right now going to universities. So the foundation was created by Mr. Schuman, and we are very lucky to manage that endowment that he left us. And we hope it's going on for perpetuity, basically, to support people in Sandoval County.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. Mayor Hull, and I noticed that Dave has left us, but thank you to all of you. We really, really appreciate your commitment to the children in our district.
Thank you.
Thank you. And board member Cullen?
Yes, thank you. And with the Snovians program, I know like you said, you've done it for 4 years, and so we are very appreciative. And the foundation is just a wonderful foundation. And I did see on Facebook that you've been promoting that upskill Sandoval, and it's very important that we can continue to get that out to our community, especially when we see the economic climate as it is right now. But we really appreciate with the donation for the Navians. Thank you.
And board member Coleman.
Yes, and thank you so much for that money. And I do want to say that it's just been impressive and exciting to just see what the Schuman Foundation is doing from a parent whose daughter actually did benefit from that. And I will just say that the effort that has been put in from the organization and even from the city to support our students is so much appreciated. And I will share this very quickly that my daughter, who graduated last year, said that one of the highlights was the signs at the park. And that in talking with her and her friends, I did have that discussion and ask what, the one thing that was really cool. And she said it was that. So I just appreciate what you all have done to just rally around our students. And so thank you so much.
And so I guess I'll have to add, we also have the best city and the best county too. So
Cover bases.
Cover the bases, which is why I've lived here my whole life, is because I love it and we have such a great community. So thank you. Thank you so much for being on, and thank you for all that you do for us. We so much appreciate it. So hope you guys all have a great evening. Thank you. Okay. For our next commendation, we have Kurt Schmidt here, our Executive Director of Fine Arts, and he'll be doing a scholarship presentation.
Good evening, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. Just a bit of clarification first. I probably miscommunicated, but the scholarship is not to Zara, but it is by Zara. And I'll explain that in just a moment. She is, maybe she will be getting some money, I'm not sure, but not tonight. So I'm very happy to present to you this evening 3 talented artists, including 1 alumna of Rio Rancho High School and 2 current Rio Rancho Public Schools visual arts students. Zara Marchuan, who has graduated from Rio Rancho High School in 2006, grew up in 2 deserts, which vary drastically and have many similarities in culture. One close to the sea, the other close to the mountains. She studied the visual arts in France and continues various pursuits to further educate herself. And the images you're seeing now are some of her artwork. She currently lives in the Breales neighborhood of Albuquerque and works in her studio at the Harwood Art Center, where she incorporates Kuwaiti tendencies into her daily life. Ms. Marchuan has exhibited works all across the globe and has won awards in the United States, England, and Germany. Last year, Zara approached me and about setting up a $1,000 scholarship for a deserving RRPS art student. She and I have worked together during this past school year to bring to fruition her desire to give back to the community by providing encouragement to a young artist. It's been an absolute delight to work with this distinguished alumna of our school system, who has brought to light some of the needs of our fine arts students, for which I'm very grateful. So at this time, I will pass it over to her to introduce the first recipients of her generous scholarship. She actually intended 1 scholarship, but she found 2 students equally deserving. So without further ado, I will pass it over to her, who can turn on the camera and speak to us.
Hello, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, and members of the board. Hello. I'd like to start off by thanking Patricia DeVasto and Kurt Schmidt for helping me start the scholarship and for seeing me through the process. My name is Zara Marchuan. I graduated from Rio Rancho High School in 2006. I've been freelancing as a full-time illustrator and have been officially a sole proprietor of my small so-called business for roughly 5 years. I'm currently revising final art on my picture book with Bloomsbury Publishing in New York City, which I created as author-illustrator, and I'm in the middle of a 2-week art residency at the Tamarind Institute, which is being funded by the city of Albuquerque. Among other things, I've been so proud to create artwork for cultural centers, nonprofits, theater and dance companies, and for the Art in U.S. Embassies program, which houses art with U.S. cultural ambassadors abroad. I wondered for many years why it had taken me so long to see and learn about so many actively working artists, especially in a state like New Mexico. My parents really believed in and encouraged me and my brothers to pursue higher education, really believing in our dreams. I had trouble finding a teacher or counselor while I was a young student who believed in the arts after academia. I was so lucky to be part of the gifted program, but when it was time to discuss our futures, I thought I had wanted to open a photography studio like my dad, who had dreamt of doing so while acting in the thriving theater scene of the 1970s. My counselor told me that most students in my program went on to become doctors or engineers, transferred me to a new counselor who suggested that I study international business since I was bilingual. It would have been helpful to, instead of being discouraged, to have seen real life examples or to have a rough idea of next steps. I'm really happy I had the grit to hold on, to keep looking, to keep finding ways to be funded to travel and see art, to go to larger cities and see how adults contribute culturally through the arts and what effect this has on society. I thought offering such a small scholarship for my book advance could help a young student hoping to pursue the arts, whether it to take a workshop, to travel, or really however they wish as a value for taking the time to think and create. I really wish I could be of more help, like offering $200,000 or $10,000 like the foundation. I really enjoyed growing up in Rio Rancho, where it's safe, clean, and where many of my friends had moved from smaller New Mexico towns to live. I do remember the feeling of being disconnected from the arts, as if it was a myth to have a creative career. So congratulations to Isabella Sanchez from Cleveland High School, whose vibrant colors appeal to her environmental goals, and to Liliana Roberto from Rio Rancho High School, who has a vast palette and technique and thoughtfulness behind her imagery. Thank you.
And President Galbraith, I'm not sure this time whether you want to hear from these students. I think they may have prepared a few comments, perhaps. I'll put them on the spot. So.
Yes, I would love to hear from our students if they are willing.
Should we pull up Isabella first? Is she?
I just wanted to say thank you to Zara. I really appreciate this opportunity, and it's really nice to have my art recognized. And I've gone to Cleveland all 4 years, and it's a really nice environment. So I just wanted to say thank you.
And I believe Lily is with us. There she is.
Yeah. I also would just like to say thank you. I'm so grateful for this entire experience. I create art because I love it, and all I have ever wanted to do is share it. So I am so grateful that I've been given the opportunity to share it with everyone here, and to also appreciate Isabella's art, and also to be given resources to continue my career as an artist, because I feel like I have genuinely started taking it seriously more recently, and this is going to help a lot.
Okay. Zara, did you want to say anything back to them? I don't want to, if you want to say something back to them real quick before the board talks, you're welcome to.
I'm so happy to be able to give this little bit of money to you both, Isabella and Liliana, and I really can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. And then Dr. Cleveland.
Well, we're just so proud for all of you. And Zara, every little bit helps. And it's not only the money, but it's the thought, and it's the philanthropy and the desire to do something for someone else. And so I so much appreciate your kindness and your thoughtfulness. And to the 2 students who are being recognized, you have such talent. I'm in such awe of the talent that you possess. And so very best wishes for you in your future. And again, we're pleased to be able to recognize you this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And Zara and Isabella and Lily, you guys are welcome to leave your cameras on for just a moment. I'm going to let the board just kind of address and say anything that they'd like to. But first off, I just want to say that I just feel like I just watched something so beautiful here tonight. And, we were just talking to our mayor of Rio Rancho and what a great school system we have and what a great community we have. And truly, this is the example of that, is students who give back, who remember where they came from, and then to see students in our school district who, just like you, we're feeling, we don't always know where our art can go and where it can bring us. It's not something that, our society always pushes those things of art. And so it is truly a beautiful thing to see, you recognize that with your own experiences and then give back to our students and help them to see that there can be a path there if that's something that they wanted to pursue. So thank you so much for doing it. And even if it's not millions of dollars, I think even more than the money is just what we witnessed here, and seeing that support that you're giving is more than anything. So I'd like to give the board just a moment just to say a couple words, and if you don't mind. So we'll start with Vice President Morgan.
Hey, just want to say thanks, congratulations. Keep up the good work, you're on it, and really appreciate you representing Rio Rancho School District. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice President Morgan. And Secretary Scott?
Sarah, I am so impressed with the thought of looking back and helping those others behind you come up that ladder. It is a wonderful gift. I agree totally with Amanda on that. It's really beautiful to see. And to the two students who were recognized, I am in awe of your talent. It is just wonderful, and it's so exciting to know that we're building a reputation in our community for very talented young people. Thank you so much.
And Board Member Cullen?
Yes, thank you. And I certainly echo the other board members. And I just want to say there are so many careers in fine arts, and we have just such amazing students that are able to go into those careers. And I just want to say thank you for offering this scholarship. It's really giving back to the community and to our young people, and seeing that there is a lot of other career paths out there, especially in the fine arts. And they can have very successful and very meaningful careers that they're passionate about. So thank you all so much for coming in and speaking to us, and Zara. Thank you for the scholarship. And I know that those two students, I mean, they're just such an amazing work, and congratulations.
Okay, and then Board Member Coleman.
Thank you, Zara, for just offering that to the students. And I think that what you said is so encouraging, and that it's nobody really deserves to define anybody's success, and you can do whatever you really set your mind to, and the work is just beautiful. I would like to know from the two students what their plans are after they graduate from the district.
I'm going to go to NMSU, and I'm going to major in environmental science and sustainability and minor in art.
I currently don't have college plans after high school. I plan to just enter the workforce, but I am starting to open up a shop for my art, so that's the main thing.
That's incredible. That's wonderful. So I look forward to seeing everybody's success. So thank you. And I would appreciate, I mean, even just kind of updates. I think that those are wonderful things to just really kind of know how students that have been benefited from the scholarships and things like that, kind of updates on their successes. So, and I would love to just also see the book, Zara, that you're working on. So thank you so much. Again, thank you.
Okay, thank you to all. We just appreciate you being on tonight. Mr. Schmidt, did you want to add anything else? Or are you good?
No, all my sentiments have been covered by the superintendent, the board. As I said, it's just been a delight working with Zara and to give back to the community like this and work with her and see how we can, work with students and guide them into the arts, whether it's music, dance, theater, whatever. So it's I look forward to perhaps working with her as an alumna in the future with our students. I'd love to have her come back and speak to classes in person at some point. So thank you for your attention tonight.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being on. The thing with the arts, the cool thing with the arts is it just carries with you. Those public speaking skills that you get through theater and all those different things, and the art that you can do. As you develop things. Anyway, I am so grateful for the arts in our schools and for all the staff who helps with those. All right, for our third commendation, is for our security staff, and board member Catherine Cullen will be giving that commendation on behalf of the board tonight.
Thank you. The board has always made a priority for the safety of our students within our district, and tonight we want to recognize the Safety and Security Department and thank them for all that they do for our students, staff, and families. The Safety and Security Department has 31 security officers, 2 access control technicians, 3 administrative support staff. The department provided security at all the schools during the shutdown, and we were able to upgrade and repair the access control software and hardware to improve the school's overall safety and security. Their administrative staff created a new program with contractor ID badges that enhanced the effectiveness of our access control system, and PED selected RRPS to pilot the Rave Panic Button program. And they are working on building this program for implementation. They assisted the final preparation of access control system for Joe Harris Elementary School and Shining Stars Preschool. They assisted with the delivery of mail and equipment throughout the schools, as well as helped with the distribution and return Chromebooks and other material. They set up the one-screen temperature scanners at all the schools, as well as helped assist with the preparations and set up for the schools to reopen per PED standards. The department did a tremendous amount of work that many don't realize. They helped set up and distribute the school meal distribution at the schools, and for the students that were unable to come out to the schools for their breakfast and lunch, the security team went out and delivered the meals to those students that would be able to have their meals for the day as well. But those deliveries didn't stop there. They also delivered furniture to the families in need and even Christmas gifts. Over the years, the board has asked so much from our safety and security team, and you have always delivered and given so much. There were things that you did during the pandemic that I didn't even realize, and I want to tell you how truly grateful we are to you. And Sal, you've been an amazing leader for this department. We are so fortunate to have you with our district. We realize it hasn't been easy for you and your team this year, and your experience has been invaluable, and we are blessed to have you here. Again, thank you all for all your hard work. And I also know that you'll be presenting a little bit on the next on the agenda for the recognition for Mr. Padilla, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you so much. President Goldberg.
Val, you wanna say some words?
Well, first I want to thank Board Member Cullen for that amazing commendation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that and those kind words. And I just want to say the team that I work with is amazing. There's such a diverse group. We have safety and security staff from the fire service, from corrections, from law enforcement, and even some of our folks have no public safety background whatsoever, but they bring their talents together and they do an amazing job of protecting our staff and our students. I just think they're incredible. I'm honored and proud to work with each and every one of them. So again, I want to thank the board, Board Member Cullen again. Thank you so much. And just glad to be here and glad to work with such a great group of people. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything?
Oh, how could I not? I just wanted to express my thanks as well. These folks have just stepped up this year and done an absolutely phenomenal job in the very worst of circumstances, and just always was a step ahead of everyone else in thinking about what were those threats and things that we had to address. And so to Sal and to Mike and to the whole team, we appreciate all you have done for us in the best of times, but certainly through this past year, your efforts have just been, just outstanding. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for all of the hard work this year.
Thanks, Dr. Cleveland. And then the rest of the board, if you would like to say anything else, Board Member Coleman.
I just want to, I just really, Catherine really kind of said it all, but I do want to say that what I've just valued and what I've seen and what I've actually heard from students is not only the great things that you do to protect our students, but also the relationships that you and your department have with the students, and the level of comfort that they have with your staff, and if they need anything. And so I'm so grateful for that and for what you do for our district. So thank you.
Jeffrey Morgan.
Yeah, just a big thanks. When I was sitting there listening to Board Member Cullen reading off the information, all the things that they accomplished, I mean, that's big. It goes a long way. So I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate what you've done, what you're doing now. Made a big difference. So thank you so much.
And Noreen Scott.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you, all of your whole team. Thank you.
And I guess I can't really second that because we've had so many who have just talked, but fifth it, I'm just grateful for all that you do. I just am so grateful when I see those wonderful red shirts on campus for our security guys who are all around. Like, we know that our kids are safe, and so we appreciate you. And it's not just that you do, as Board Member Cullen went into all the different things that you have done for us. We're grateful. So thank you so very, very, very much. We're grateful to have you on our team. So thank you. Okay, and don't turn off your cameras because the next part, you just have to be here still. So for our fourth commendation is for a years of service recognition. And we have Michael Baker, our Chief Operations Officer, and Sal Maniaci, our Executive Director of Safety and Security, will be presenting this.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, and members of the board. It gives me great pleasure this evening to really comment on a friend and a colleague that I've been with many, many, many years, about 30 years in public service. And I just want to take some time and talk about Mike Padilla's career, but not just a career, a remarkable career. Mike started in police by going to a police academy. It was one of the first of its kind many years ago at Western in Silver City. And I think Mike actually started going to the police academy when Billy the Kid was running down there. So it's been a few years. It's been a few years now. But after Mike graduated, he started his law enforcement career at the UNM Police Department. So Mike got accustomed to working in an educational environment, but also had the experience of a police officer. From there, Mike went to Rio Rancho Police Department, and I happened to be working there at the time. And Mike and I worked side by side for just under 20 years. Mike got hired a little bit after me. But this was in the early days of the city of Rio Rancho. It was a brand new city. It was a brand new police department. We went through a lot of changes as a department. We had to create really something from nothing. And not only were we a police department, but we also grew into what was called the Department of Public Safety. So not only did Mike have to get his police certification, but I remember the days where, we had to study for our EMT and then go to the fire academy to get our fire certifications as well. And so Mike and I, and Sal as well, we've been through all those years and through those trials and tribulations. After Mike retired from law enforcement, he came to work here at Rio Rancho Public Schools. And so Mike had a really excellent background, had the background in the educational environment. Mike was aware of the emergency medical service field and the fire suppression field. So I had a really good, well-rounded approach to safety and security. Mike has served nearly 40 years as a public servant. Not just served, but served remarkably. Mike's one of his last assignments at Rio Rancho Police Department was that of the sergeant in charge of the school resource officer program, where Mike got to learn about the DARE and the GRADE program, and actually schedule the officers to go in our schools here in Rio Rancho and to provide those and SRO duties as well. And I could tell you this, in serving in those different departments after all these years and serving so closely with Mike, you can't find a more dedicated, reliable individual, person, employee, one that has impeccable integrity. And it's really sad to see Mike go, but he deserves it. He's been working a long time. I say he's going to go, but he's not going to go very far. He's just going to be going down the road. He'll still be with us, just not in the capacity of an employee. And when I talk about Mike's integrity, really kind of in those early days, being in the police department, there were, many pretty hairy calls that we would have to go on, whether it be running into, a house that was on fire, or going into a home where there was an armed individual. When I was on the scene with Mike, I knew he got my back. I knew he had my back. And that is a very comforting feeling when you have somebody like that you can perform your time of service and somebody's got your back. And Mike is going to be missed greatly. But he definitely has served a distinguished career. Some of the things that Mike, I think, has really set out to do, and before my role here as Chief Operations Officer, I did run the Safety and Security Department, and Mike and I worked side by side together. And probably one of the most important things to have a successful safety and security department is really having quality security officers. And Mike knew what it took in order to hire these folks, people that were committed public servants, people that had a proven track record, and people that were good working with kids. Security is not just physical security. It's not just about access control, video systems, and fencing. But the bigger part of it is really the people that serve. And so Mike was very, very instrumental in facilitating that building of a group of quality servants. And then the going from there, going into the armed security program was really a big deal. And Mike was extremely instrumental and worked tirelessly in order to get that program up and running. And then finally, Mike, again, because of his dedication, his reliability, his dependability, Mike will respond any day, any hour of the day to any call that we have. And a lot of people don't realize that we don't work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. It is truly 24/7. And I don't know how many times Mike has got called out in the middle of the night, on weekends, on holidays, in order to serve the public. And finally, that's going to come to an end. So Mike You can, hopefully your phone won't ring at 2 o'clock in the morning or on weekends. But Mike, I thank you for your years of service in the public domain, especially these last 16 years serving Rio Rancho Public Schools. And with that, let me hand it off to the Executive Director of Safety and Security, Sal Maniaci.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Mike has really done a great job of talking about Mike Padilla's service to the public and being such a great servant. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Mike Padilla, the man, because I've known Mike for over 30 years. I consider him family. I can tell you that there have been times when I was a single guy that him and Brenda were kind enough to invite me in their home, and his wife would make me an incredible meal. And my portion was bringing a cake from Marie Callender's, which Mike and I would share small pieces with Brenda and the kids, and then we would finish the rest together. But many hours at the gym made up for that, right, Mike? But anyway, he's a great guy. When I talk about Mike, I wanted to come up with one word that I thought would encompass who Mike Padilla really is, and I just couldn't do that. And the three words that I think encompass Mike Padilla are these three. And Mike touched on this: reliability. He is incredibly reliable as a colleague, but he's reliable as a friend. He is reliable for someone that, work can call him out at 2 o'clock in the morning and he'd be there. But a friend can call him at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you know what? He's going to be there as well. And you can't say that about very many people. The next word I came up with out of the three was honesty. I don't think I've ever met an individual more honest than Mike Padilla. He can be brutally honest sometimes, and over the years he's had to be that way with me, and I've always appreciated that because it came from the heart. And the last one is integrity, and that is such an important character in law enforcement, because without integrity you have nothing. And Mike, you exemplify that, and it has been an honor and a privilege to work with you these last 30 years. Never thought always thought that we always kept in contact, but who would have thought at the end of our careers we'd be working together again? I am upset that Mike promised me 5 years. He's leaving after 2. We'll talk about that later. But he is the greatest guy, and he's a tremendous leader. The security officers respect him. They follow him. And I'll tell you, when I came here, I had some really big footsteps to fill, because he just did a great job, and he helped me out the minute I got here, embraced me with open arms, and I just can't say enough about him. I don't want to take too long. But anyway, Mike, I'm going to miss you. The guys are going to miss you. The gals are going to miss you. And you're just the best. And I wish you nothing but wonderful things as you go forward. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Sal and Mike, for all those great words. I must say it's going to be bittersweet working with Sal and Mike. Well, first of all, I want to thank Dr. Cleveland, Rio Rancho Public School, for hiring me 16 and a half years ago, right after my retirement date. I was a younger man. Yes, I'm pretty old now, Sal. But honestly, I made many friends in the Rio Rancho Public Schools, from principals to school administrators, staff. Just an amazing bunch of professional people that work for Rio Rancho Public Schools, and I've been honored. I must say, this is going to be a part of my life I never forget. The 16 and a half years I've worked here, I've enjoyed every bit of it. And working with Sal and Mike has been absolutely an honor for me. They support the security department, which is a big plus for me. And I must say, I got to thank my security team. All those years I've worked with these guys, and I hired most of them, and a lot of them are retired police officers that used to work with me back in the day. And I must say that Rio Rancho Public School is actually very lucky to have a team, a security team, that is second to none. And I know that because I've been with them. I do feel good that I'm leaving a great bunch of guys behind. And again, I'm going to keep it short, but I just want to say thank you, Rio Rancho Public Schools, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland for giving me the opportunity to work all these years with the schools, and it's been a blessing, and I'm going to enjoy hopefully a few years with my wife. She's been wanting me to retire for a few years now. She's been retired from UNM for about 6 years, so thank you again, and I'm going to keep it short. And thank you. That's all I can say. And God bless. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Mike. We'll go to Dr. Cleveland.
Well, they've said so much. It's hard to find something that hasn't already been said, but we're certainly very lucky to have had Mike come and work with us. And so, Mike, you turned out to be a really good hire. So you made us all look good. But one of the things, you know, it's been said over and over, you could count on Mike. You could just always count on him. You could count on him to be there, but you could also count on his really good judgment. And he just helped us through some really rocky times, and so I appreciate that. I also knew him as a baseball dad, there are a lot of other interests that he has in life, and so I'm really pleased, Mike, you're going to have a chance to do some of those things. But the last comment I would make is that Mike's kind of a soft-spoken guy, and you don't hear a lot from him, but when you do, everybody stops and listens, because what he has to share is always worth hearing, and it's worth listening very carefully to. And so I really grew to appreciate that good judgment and his just kindness and sense of decency. And so, Mike, we thank you for having been part of our school district, and thank you for all the contributions that you have left behind, and we will truly, truly miss you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I just want to add my thanks to you for everything that you've done. As Mr. Baker was talking about all those DARE programs, that's things that I went through, and so I just, I just was grateful. I still kind of look back at that. Usually it's kind of a funny thing, but I look back on all those things and those officers that we met, and any involvement that you had with that is, something that is a part of my past. And thank you for everything you've done for our district over the years. With that, I'm just going to quickly go over to the board and let them just say thank you. Like Dr. Cleveland said, I think so much has been said, but I just want to at least give them a chance to say thank you. So we'll start with Catherine Cullen.
Thank you. It's going to be really sad to see you go. I mean, I know it's going to be wonderful for you to be able to retire, but you have been so dedicated to our school district over all these years, and as well as Rio Rancho, and we're really going to miss you. The time that I've been on the board, you have always done so much for the safety and security of our students. And I know that there's been some rough times over the years. And then especially when we implemented the armed security guards. And I know that it took a lot of help and dedication from your department to get that together. And we really do appreciate it. And I hate to see you go, but it's so well deserved. And I'm sure your wife is going to love having you around, or not. You might end up going back to work after another year. If but thank you so much.
And board member Coleman.
Mike, I just wish you the best. Just such wonderful things were said. And I can say on a personal note how much I have valued watching you in different situations, whether it be the community meetings as we were trying to make the decision about armed security guards, and just the calmness that I saw, and just how you have interacted with the public and with just the community. And I just wish you the best, and thank you for everything that you've done for the district.
Thank you.
And we'll go to Vice President Morgan.
Yeah, Mike, very short time that I had a chance to work with you, but just based off what Mike Baker said, some of the other things that were said that you've done, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And I'm quite sure you're going to be missed. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Padilla, can we hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say you exemplify everything that's right about Rio Rancho, and the things that I as Mike Baker was talking about, our fire and police and security combination, the effort that took to keep all that together, and all the years you've been with us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Enjoy your time.
Thank you.
Well, with that, we'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
being
guys.
on
Thank
with
you
us.
all. Appreciate it. Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty here in the boardroom with one of our computers. So we're just going to do a 5-minute break, and Noreen Scott and I will go into the other boardroom so she can hear the meeting, and we'll just share a computer for a few minutes. So Kim, would you mind starting the clock for us for a 5-minute recess? Okay, thanks. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you all.
just for the benefit of folks that are online, we're still solving our technical difficulties here. So stay with us and we'll be back on shortly.
Testing.
We got you. Okay.
Okay, good evening. Our meeting is called back to order. Do you guys hear the sound? Where is it coming from? In that computer over there? So COVID is great. We just have technical difficulties after technical difficulties. Give us 1 second in here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. So this meeting's now called back to order. So we'll just go ahead and move right on to item H. And we apologize for our issues. So we'll move on to item H, which is to approve the consent agenda. Any questions, any of these items that need to come off the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I we have Catherine Cullen's name on 2 screens.
Yeah.
And so just to keep it legal, Board Member Scott, if you would just say your name before you make a response, and that way we'll be able to stay within the constraints of the law. There is a way to rename your screen, but I'm sure you all have tried that. So
no, at this point, we want to just continue on with the meeting. This is Secretary Noreen Scott, and I move approval of the agenda.
Okay.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Noreen Scott, and we'll see if we can get her name changed. Okay, and we have a second by Jeffrey Morgan. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us on this?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Okay, that's good. Yes. All right. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
That is 5-0 to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. And motion carries. Okay. So moving into the business portion of our meeting. Item A, to consider the approval of the 5/3/2021 unapproved special board meeting minutes. Any questions on those minutes or any changes that need to take place? We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Sorry, I don't have my agenda in front of me, so.
This is Secretary Scott. I second.
Okay. We have a motion by Board Member Cullen and a second by Secretary Scott. Kim, can you take a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Scott?
Yes, this is Secretary Scott.
Board Member Cullen?
Yes.
Board Member Coleman?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of the school year 2021 preliminary budget. This will be a discussion in action. We have Michael Baker, our Chief Operations Officer, Arlene Manzanares, our Executive Director of Finance, here to present.
Yes, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, members of the school board. This evening, we've presented on 3 separate occasions the budget review with the Finance Committee. It is now time to present to the school board, and we are requesting approval. A short recap: our total revenue for the operational budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year is $171,350,469, which is made up of our state equalization guarantee, which is $154,866,740. The budget is also made up of other sources to include our cash carry. Our total expenditures is $171,350,469, which is made up of our salary and benefits, our schools and our departments. The budget needs to be approved, and at that time compiled and forwarded to PED by May 28th. The budget then will come back to the school board on June 14th for final approval. Since we've already spent 3 separate meetings on the budget, myself and Arlene, we stand for questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baker. So we'll go ahead and go to questions, and we'll start with, we'll go ahead and start with Secretary Scott.
Mr. Baker, I have no questions. Thank you for your hard work and that of your team.
Thank you.
Okay. And Vice President Morgan, any questions on the budget?
No questions. Thank you. Appreciate the work, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. And Board Member Wynn Coleman?
No questions. They were answered in the finance meeting, so thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Catherine Cullen?
No, thank you very much for all that you did. Yeah, I think most of us got all of our questions answered in the previous Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you. And Arlene, I don't know if you realize your hand, at least on my screen, it shows your hand is raised. Did you want to add anything on the? Quickly, she put it back down. Okay. Oh, okay. And Dr. Cleveland, do you want to say anything before we go into the vote?
Yes, the budget requires a superintendent's recommendation, and I recommend approval. And with thanks to Mike Baker, Arlene Manzanares, and all the team, they put in a tremendous amount of work. And so I do recommend that the board approve the preliminary budget. And as I said in my introductory material presentation, this is only a preliminary budget to be submitted to the state, and the board will have another opportunity to look at the board. Excuse me, can't talk. Look at the budget before final approval.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott. I move that we approve the preliminary budget for school year 2021-2022.
Do we have a second?
This is Board Member Coleman. I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Secretary Scott and a second by Wynn Coleman. And Kim, can you take a roll call for us?
Yes, Vice President Morgan. Okay, Vice President Morgan, are you still on? Okay, thank you. Sorry,
yes,
didn't hear you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, Secretary Scott.
Yes.
And Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
That's 5-0, and board members, after the meeting, I will have a document for you to sign.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So motion carries on that. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Baker and Ms. Manzanares, for all that you guys have done on that and your whole team. I know it is quite the beast to go through, and so we appreciate all that you've done, all the questions that you've answered, and just everything that you've done for us on that. On the preliminary budget to this point. So, and in such a short time, I know you just aren't given a lot of time to do that. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, item C is to consider the closure of Puesta del Sol Elementary to transfers due to construction. And we have Janice Chenault, our elementary school improvement officer, here to present.
Good evening, President Galbraith and members of the board. We have another HVAC project, which you're going to hear a little bit more about shortly, at Puesta del Sol Elementary for this next school year. Due to the scope of the work and the number of students that will be displaced, they are requesting to keep the number of transfers they have now, which is about 37. They're one of the smallest schools receiving transfers in our district, but not to accept any more transfers for next year. I talked about this, or Tana Burgos and I talked about this, and she felt that it was an appropriate recommendation based on the fact that they don't get typically more during the school year and they could keep what they have. And so that's what we'd like you to consider for this evening. And I stand for questions. And Mike Baker could probably answer some questions about the scope of the work as well.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add on this?
Now, I did have one board member ask about this seemed to be somewhat contradictory in terms of the need for additional students and shutting off a school. But I think the you know, in pursuing that with staff, it just they feel that the scope of the project is so great that they're going to struggle even now to find places for every class during that renovation. And so, given that information, I do recommend that that we go ahead and close the school for this year to new people and not to those that are already in the school.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And then questions from the board. I'll just kind of go through your names. You can, board member Catherine Cullen.
Thank you. So if they have a sibling and they're going to say want to register this summer to go transfer to that school, because they have an older sibling there, will you allow the ones that come in that have a sibling? Does that make sense? I might not be describing it right.
Yes, and I'll defer that to Tana because she handles the transfers in the district if she's available. That's a very good question.
Because I'd like to keep it open to the siblings, so that they're kept at one school instead if they want to. Say somebody's coming in as a kindergartner, and I mean they should have already registered and already be in there, but if something like that was to happen.
We have always allowed siblings to remain as that we don't break up families. And so they would be allowed to do that. I don't know if Tana's still on or not, but that has always been our process.
And as well as any teachers for their students as well, for their children. So
Yeah.
if we get some new teachers, so I do want to make that recommendation on this, is that we would still, that it wouldn't be completely closed. It would be open to any siblings as well as any staff's children.
We've always allowed our staff to bring their children. It's one of the few benefits, extra benefits that we can offer. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. We didn't talk about that. Jenna, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that as well, but generally, right now we do just about anything we can to bring qualified teachers into the school district. And I would hate to lose someone based on that personally. Jenna?
Board Member Cullen, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. In the past, we've allowed staff that teach there to bring their children, but other staff in the district wouldn't be able to bring, to transfer their children to that school in particular if it was closed. But if they were teaching at the school or any staff member at the school, we've allowed that.
Any others, Catherine?
No, that's it that I have no questions on.
Okay, no, and thanks for asking. Those are really good questions, so I appreciate it. We'll go to Vice President Morgan.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and Secretary Scott.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and Board Member Coleman.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
So I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve closure of Puesta del Sol Elementary to transfers due to on-campus construction, except for in the situations of an older sibling that is attending at this point, or staff that work at the school and their children.
I'll second that motion. This is Secretary Noreen Scott.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Wynn Coleman and a second by Noreen Scott. Can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, so for our last item of business is to consider the approval of RFP number 2021-012-FAC, Puesta del Sol Elementary HVAC replacement. And Michael Madrid, our purchasing director, is here to present.
Good afternoon, Madam President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. This request this afternoon is to solicit board approval for the highest ranked offer on the solicitation that was just read to Bradbury Stamp Construction. A little bit of overview on the scope of work. The project consists of demolition and replacement of HVAC, plumbing, and electrical systems, new HVAC plumbing and electrical system, demolition and replacement of acoustical ceiling tiles, demolition and replacement of floor finishes. The district received a total of 4 responses to the solicitation. Responses were received from Bradbury Stamp Construction out of Albuquerque, Brycon Corporation, also out of Albuquerque, J.B. Henderson out of Rio Rancho, and T.A. Cole & Sons out of Albuquerque. A little bit of background on Bradbury Stam, on work that they performed for the district. Bradbury Stam was the contractor that recently completed the Joe Harris Elementary School. They've also did the construction at Cielo Azul Elementary, Sandia Vista, Rio Rancho Middle School, and Rio Rancho High School. In addition to their past performance, their submittal is within budget, and based on the technical qualifications and the pricing and all the other criteria identified in the solicitation, we respectfully solicit board approval of Bradbury Stam as the highest ranked offer for this solicitation. I stand for any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Madrid. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add, or do you recommend approval?
I would just add that they have done a lot of work for us, and most recently, Joe Harris, which you've been able to see their work there. They are very dependable, and I certainly do submit us. Boy, I need some help today. It's been a really long day. I recommend acceptance of this proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. Questions from the board? I can't see all up on my screen. So Wynn Coleman, anything?
No, but what I'd like to go ahead and do, and I know then we can open up for discussion, is make a motion to approve RFP number 2021-012-FAC Puesta del Sol HVAC replacement be awarded to Bradbury Stam.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott. I'll second.
We have a motion by Wynn Coleman and a second by Secretary Scott. And do we have any further discussion from any members of the board? Okay. Okay. Then can we go ahead and take a roll call vote on this, Kim?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
And that is 5-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. So we will. Dr. Clem, is there anything before I go into advanced planning?
As I said, we have 4 graduations coming up. One is this Friday. It's the first one, and that's Cyber Academy. And so we look forward to all of those. Do want to let you know that after its considerable discussion, the decision was made by the principals of the 4 schools that their staff were going to wear robes after all. Still going to be extremely hot. I would recommend, again, unless you just have your heart set on it, that we not this time until we are in a little cooler environment. But I did want to let you know that the staff had decided to go ahead and wear theirs. So if you had a change of heart, you would have a chance to say that. So again, at 5 o'clock on Friday at Haynes Park. Saturday is at Cleveland Stadium. And then on Monday is Cleveland High School at Cleveland Stadium. And our last is March the 18th at 10 a.m. And that's in Rio Rancho High School Stadium. So we look forward to seeing everybody there.
That's May the 18th.
I'm sorry. Thank you. May the 18th. Boy, it has been a long day. Thank you. Scott.
Dr. Cleveland, were you saying that we could wear robes? You have them available if we decide to?
I'm sorry?
You were saying that we would be able to wear robes if we wanted to?
If you want
If you
to.
have them? Okay.
We
Yeah,
do
please let me know though.
because
Okay.
Kim will have to drag them out there. And so,
Or she could just drag it to us and then we'll just bring it back and forth to the other ones if we want to. So she doesn't have to be
anybody, I
responsible.
would think the whole board needs to do the same.
Yeah.
And so this is Board Member Coleman. My question is, do we have what the attire, not just the robes, but the attire for whatever our degrees are from everybody?
I have yours, Miss Coleman. The one I don't have one for at this point is Noreen, Miss Scott. I have a robe, but I don't have the hood. I think the rest of you we have got taken care of.
Okay.
Well, on that board, I feel like we either all need to be wearing them together or not wearing them together. Would you all like to do robes? I'm okay with doing that. I don't mind. Not an official
On
vote.
Tuesday, it will be at noon in the 80s. So it will not be in the 90s. It will be in the 80s, but it will be hot.
Okay. Anyone want to give thoughts on if you'd? It's not a vote.
But yeah, it's not a vote. But the staff is wearing theirs. I mean, we have all the teachers and the principals that are going to. They decided to wear theirs. So I'm okay wearing one in the heat if they are.
I am too. I think if they are, I think that it's a good representation that we look at doing that too.
Okay. Okay. So we'll plan to go ahead and wear robes, Kim. So if you need us to, we can come pick those up from you. Just let us know what you need after the meeting if you need us to come pick those up from you. Okay?
Yeah, either that or I can just fish them out of the where they are and give them to you tonight.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Madam President, I would just like to thank Board Member Cullen for loaning me her computer so that we could get through the rest of this meeting. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, that was very helpful. Thank you. I'm so grateful. And so Dr. Cleveland just went through our graduations. You can see the times there and the locations for that. We also have our on the 31st will be a Memorial Day holiday. And last day of school, of course, June 3rd, and we'll have two board meetings in June, the 14th and the 28th at 5:30. Are we all feeling comfortable with this format, with coming into the boardroom? It's not hindering anyone? Okay.
I think you need to ask Board Secretary Scott,
who keeps using her computers. Yeah. Yes, Secretary Scott's computer is still updating after I don't know how long. So, okay, as long as everyone's okay with it, then we'll continue to come in here for those, at least for the regular board meetings at 5:30. So, okay, with that, this meeting's adjourned for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone.